Let's go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining us today. We are happy to welcome you to today's webinar titled, I've declared my major, or maybe I haven't. What's next? Before we begin, I'd like to thank the 2023 Class Council for their ongoing partnership in our efforts this year and our panelists from the Green Center and CCAS. They are Katie Ferruza, Christine Seawagon, Anna Alden, and Brendan Stone, who are joining us for this event. I would also like to thank Professor Mark Herman from the Department of Mathematics and Professor Gerald Gamm from the Department of Political Science for creating two videos which will be shown during today's webinar. I'm Marcy Krause, Executive Director of CCAS, and I will be serving as our moderator for the first part of the session. So let's go ahead and begin. We're going to start our presentation with a brief video created by Professor Mark Herman in the Department of Mathematics. Once the video ends, we'll continue our presentation by reviewing some of the information and websites that Professor Herman highlighted.
Hello, everybody. This is Professor Mark Herman in the Math Department here to talk about how to declare your major. Most University of Rochester students declare their major in their sophomore year, most in the spring, in fact, of their sophomore year. Even if you're not completely sure you want to do a specific major, I highly encourage you to reach out to an advisor in that department to discuss a major plan and what that would look like for you. Even if you're absolutely sure that you're ready to declare this major, you still should reach out to an advisor in that discipline to discuss your major plan. When coming to them, things that we would want to know are what courses have you taken that could apply towards this major? What courses would you like to take that can be applied towards this major? And try to have a plan mapped out semester by semester the rest of your time here as best you can of which courses you're going to take and which semesters you're going to take them in to satisfy the major requirements. This is the kind of thing this meeting will help with. So you don't have to have everything perfected when you come in to have that conversation. There's a major declaration form online, okay, on the registrar website, and you can just fill out the form online, and then it has to be approved by an advisor in that department. I can tell you that if you just go to that site and submit a form for approval for a math declaration, we will not approve it until the student has come in to talk to an advisor, and then the advisor will approve it if everything looks good. So either way, you're going to want to come have a conversation. Some departments do it differently than others, but we're all going to want to have a conversation and meet you. We want to meet the prospective majors. We want to discuss your plans for classes, future plans, maybe summer research opportunities, all kinds of things like this are very important to have this conversation with an advisor when you declare your major. So I can show you exactly where you go to declare the major. So as I said, it's on the registrar website. So I'm just going to Google University of Rochester registrar, right? When in doubt, ask Google. Go to the registrar webpage. If you go to this verifications and requests, we have all of these online forms now that they've built in, a lot of them built in last year. In particular, about a few down here, the 7th or 8th bullet down, major minor declaration. Just click where it says student login, and it's essentially an electronic form. You're going to have to list all of the courses you're using to satisfy this major. You're going to have to list which clusters you're doing on the form, and if you have another major already declared, you're going to have to list that on the form and things like that. Again, you submit this for approval. I know in the math department, we will not approve these unless you come talk to us about it. Okay, so make sure you reach out to an advisor when you're submitting one of these forms, preferably even before you submit one of these forms. Okay, so just to give you an idea, if you weren't sure where to go, to get advising help in a particular major discipline, again, I would just start by asking Google. Okay, so for example, for the math department, if you're thinking of declaring a math major or you want more information about what that might look like, University of Rochester Math Department or Math Advisors and Math Advisors. The first hit, advising, takes you to our advising page. Most majors have pages like this. Okay, and here we have walk-in hours. You can just come by those times or sign up for those times. We have advising email lists. We have lists of other advisors from our undergraduate committee in the department. So for us, any of these people are good to reach out to for information about declaring your math major. And for other departments, there might be specific people that they would prefer you talk to about the declaration process. But, in the grand scheme of things, just reach out to somebody in the department, have an idea of, what you might be taking and what you've already taken, and have an idea of a plan. And that's the kind of thing that can be fine-tuned when you meet with an advisor. I hope everybody's having a good spring semester so far, and hope to see you around soon.
Great. So to everyone who is viewing our webinar tonight, please let us know of any questions you have by typing them into the question and answer link at the bottom of your screen. We'll respond to as many questions as we can during the time that we have together. So Brendan, you can go to the next slide. Most students on campus declare their major and their Rochester curriculum plans by the end of the second semester of their sophomore year. One of the benefits of the Rochester curriculum is that it encourages students to customize their own educational path. Many students who end up enrolling at Rochester do so in part because of our flexible curriculum. We do provide some guidelines which require most students to sample courses from each of the three divisions of learning: humanities, social sciences, and natural sciences and engineering. But the ways in which our students craft their plans vary widely. Due to our unique curriculum and because of the emphasis on personal choice and the many clusters available to students, no two students graduating from the University of Rochester will have the same transcript. It's actually kind of amazing, and I think we're very distinctive because of that. You'll see here on this slide that most students complete a divisional requirement in each of the three areas of the curriculum, but most engineering students and transfer students will have modified requirements. So we can go to the next slide. The college offers more than 65 majors and more than 80 minors. There are also more than 200 clusters to choose from. One of the true benefits of a liberal arts education is the opportunity to sample courses from a variety of disciplines. At minimum, students will complete a major and 2 clusters. You will want to consult the appropriate departmental website and/or the director of undergraduate studies in the department for information about your intended major and/or minor. The registrar's homepage has a comprehensive list of all majors and minors available to students. And next slide. So when you choose your clusters, be sure that you review the information carefully. On this slide, you'll see that you are asked to choose one course from each of the different categories. The circled information indicates the dates that specific courses are eligible to be used in the cluster. Rochester's flexible curriculum also makes it possible for students to double major and double minor, although you're not required to do so. If you are interested in a second, consult with an advisor in CCAS, as well as an advisor in each of the departments you're considering. In some cases, the addition of a second major results in multiple degrees. When that happens, students are responsible for completing all of the degree requirements for each degree, as well as the required number of credits. You'll also want to be sure that you understand the 3-2-1 rules. 3 courses are allowed to be shared in common between 2 majors. 2 courses may be shared between a major and a minor. 1 course can be shared between a major or minor and a cluster. Note that only 1 upper-level writing course can overlap between majors. Each major should have 1 unique upper-level writing course as well. You can also pursue multiple interests by completing a minor or by designing a unique course of study with elective courses, rather than completing a second major. We recognize that some sophomores may still be exploring different paths and that you might not be ready to declare a major just yet. That's okay. We encourage you to have conversations about your plans this semester so you can begin to make some decisions. Here's a list of people and resources that can help you think through possible academic and career paths. You will find more specific examples by visiting the Green Center website. And we'll keep this slide up for just a second to give everybody a chance to take a look at these options. So again, we really stress, talk to others if you're trying to make that decision about major declaration. Great. So the next set of slides are really going to take you through the steps to declaring your major. All of the information you need is available online. Your first stop is generally the department's website. You'll want to check to see if there are specific requirements or steps for declaring your major. As Professor Herman mentioned in his video, some departments will expect you to schedule an appointment with an advisor in that program before you submit any formal paperwork. Make sure you have consulted your academic records so that you have a list of the courses you have already completed, as well as the grades you've earned. You can do this by reviewing your record in You Are Student. You will use an online major declaration form to declare your major or minor. Again, you saw Professor Herman Google the form. Remember that you will need to submit a separate form for each major and minor you wish to declare. You will be notified by the department if your form has been accepted or if you need to make any revisions. And then I'll note at the bottom here that it does say that once your online form has been submitted and approved, you will have an advisor assigned to you in that department. So if you have a major and a minor, you will have an advisor in your major and an advisor in your minor. Let's take a look at some of the parts of this form. So the major minor declaration form is available on the registrar's forms page. And then you'll select the button indicating that you are selecting a major, that you are declaring a major or a minor. And then in the next part of the form, you'll indicate your subject area, the type of degree, whether a BA or a BS, and then list the courses you have taken already, as well as the courses you plan to take. We'll also ask you on this form if you have completed the primary writing requirement, and if you have not completed the primary writing requirement, when you intend to do so. Next, you'll need to fill in how you are completing the remainder of your Rochester curriculum requirements. Again, you will need to enter something in each section. If you are a transfer student or engineering student and you have a cluster area waived, you would indicate that you are exempt from this requirement. Finally, you will indicate if you will be completing an additional major, minor, or degree. And then at the end of that process, you'll click Submit. At that point, the form to the department where they will review the form. And hopefully everything is approved and we congratulate you because then you've declared your major. So I want to add this, the steps to declaring your major are really straightforward. I'm going to pause here to see if there are any questions that have come in time for us to answer out loud. Any questions from anyone? Doesn't sound
We have
like
one, Marcy.
Yep.
If we declare a cluster and later want to change it into a minor, would that be possible to do so?
That's a great question. And actually, I think all of the advisors who are with me tonight see this scenario happen pretty regularly. Students become interested in a topic, they decide to declare a cluster, and then they realize that they have time to take even additional courses and expand that cluster into a minor. So it's definitely possible to do that. In that situation, you would go through the process of submitting the minor declaration form. It works the same as the major declaration form, just as we've shown you here. And then we would drop you from the cluster and you would have the minor.
Thanks, Marcy. We have one more question. If we are doing a double major and a minor that cover all three areas, then we don't need a cluster, right?
That is correct. So for example, a student who has a linguistics major would be fulfilling the social sciences area. And let's say a BCS cluster fills the natural sciences area, and then an ASL minor would fill the humanities area. So that student would, oh, sorry, I gave the example of a BCS cluster and I meant to say a BCS minor. So a BCS minor would fulfill the natural sciences area. A linguistics major would fulfill the social sciences area. An ASL minor would fulfill the humanities area, and no clusters would be needed.
Thanks, Marcy. That's all the
Okay.
questions we have.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, we can go to the next slide, Brendan. So you're not on your own, as hopefully we've shared with you during this brief set of slides so far. There are many resources available to you. If you are undecided, it may be helpful to talk with an advisor in CCAS or in the Green Center about what you are considering and how you might be able to narrow your choices. Sometimes students feel a lot of pressure in making the decision to declare their major. Keep in mind that you can change your mind later in your college career if needed. And again, we see that all the time. So sometimes a student will be uncertain about a cluster, but they'll know that they want to have a major in one area and a minor in another area. So my recommendation, our recommendation in those cases would be choose the best cluster that you think is most likely at the time you declare. Again, very easy to change your mind and submit a new form. So we have a few deadlines we want to mention. Well, we are eager to help you declare your major. You may have some good reasons to wait, and in most cases, that's fine. Here are some potential deadlines to consider. And in particular, I want to point out the second bullet for students who are New York State residents who may be receiving a TAP award as part of their financial aid package. New York State does want to verify that a student who's receiving that award is making progress toward their degree. So they do want to see that the major has been declared by the start of the junior year. But otherwise, there is some flexibility. We know that some students may need some additional time and won't be ready to declare their major, perhaps not until the summer or early in the fall semester. Okay, so building connections to your academic department. Remember that your department is eager to get to know you. Once you have formally declared your major, your department will be your academic home for the remainder of your time at Rochester. So when you meet with somebody in the department, oftentimes there are questions that you might wish to ask, information about the major or some aspect of the way that the department works. That's part of your conversation. So we've made some suggestions here for some questions that you might want to talk about when you meet with somebody in the department. So you've declared your major. Now what is to share that the sophomore committee traditionally gives each sophomore a gift to commemorate the declaration of your major. And we do have gifts for each student who declares their major. And later in the semester, we will begin distributing these gifts to students, including in many cases, mailing those gifts to students who are not currently in the Rochester area. In the next video we will share, created by Professor Gerald Gamm in the Department of Political Science, he will highlight some of the ways you can develop a relationship with the faculty in your department and some of the benefits you will experience by doing so.
I'm Gerald Gamm, a professor of political science and history. I also advise large numbers of students, students coming in as first years, as well as students in their majors, and really glad that you're joining us for this video today.
And I'm Brendan Stone, an academic advisor in the College Center for Advising Services. So Professor Gamm, once students declare their majors, how can they make connections with their department?
Okay, Brendan, that's actually a really good question. In fact, I'd back up and say students can start building connections with their departments long before they declare their majors. So the first way you build a connection in the department, you take courses in the department. That may sound self-evident, but you take courses, you go to office hours, you do your work, you go to class, and you start getting to know your professor. How do you get to know your professor? You ask questions in class. If we're in person again, you sit toward the front of the class. If we're not in person and you're comfortable doing it, you share video and you speak up during a class. But you go to office hours and you get to know your professors. That's a way that you connect to your department. Professors are your department. The department is not this abstract entity that exists apart from professors and other students. So one thing I'd recommend, even before you declare your major, start engaging with your faculty. A second thing you can do before you declare your major, start engaging with other students, because they're also your department. So I'm in political science. We have an undergraduate political science and international relations council. Virtually every department at the university has some kind of council like that, where students come together and they have regular meetings and they plan socials with one another, and they bring speakers in, and maybe they bring people in to talk about careers, and maybe they have some sort of interaction with faculty. Get involved with your undergraduate council. So that would be advice 1 and advice 2. Get to know your professors, get involved with your undergraduate councils. Then, of course, you declare a major. When you're declaring a major, go on the department's website. Usually departments will tell you how to declare a major. In fact, on the political science site, we actually have a page that says how to declare the major. Most departments give advice like that, whether it's economics or you're in engineering or you're in English. Most departments are going to tell you how to declare the major, or at minimum, who the advisors are you reach out to help you with that process. And once you've declared the major, I'd recommend engaging more deeply in the life of the department, getting to know professors better. Maybe as you advance in college, taking smaller classes so that you have more opportunity to speak up, maybe write a research paper, or maybe engage in a lab if you're a scientist. Maybe see if there are research opportunities available in the department or lab opportunities. And finally, become a leader of your undergraduate council. Don't just show up for meetings anymore, but step up and get involved, and see at that point what the other things you want to do, whether it's to do an independent study or it's to do research. At this point, you're now building on the foundation that you laid early on by starting to get to know professors and starting to get to know other students in the department.
All right, thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Brendan. I'm Gerald.
Great. I'm now pleased to transition to Katie Ferruza from the Green Center.
Thanks, Marcy. So I guess everything was sort of leading up to this. You might be wondering, once you declare a major, or if you're trying to figure out what your major is, what are the academic and career possibilities that might correlate to that? I guess I would start off by just cautioning everyone to know that major doesn't equal career, and that there are many, many possibilities for what you can do with just about any major. And so at the Green Center, we can help you think about that. But one of the main things you can do, as Professor Gam just talked about, is really getting connected to faculty, staff, students, alumni, and the whole U of R community. And by declaring your major, it gets you to do that. So I want to talk to you on the next slide about some resources that you have available as University of Rochester students, to help you to do this. Because ultimately what we want you to do is really to get curious about different things, to try things out, and then to talk to people. Because it's really through conversations and through experiences that you figure out what it is you want to do with your major, such as internships and research opportunities and things like that. So if you're not familiar, Handshake is our opportunity recommendation platform, and there is a peer-to-peer messaging tool within Handshake that's a little lesser known, where you can actually connect with peers in your major. Obviously through Handshake, you can also explore internship and job postings, check out upcoming events, and you can also schedule virtual appointments with career advisors like myself or others to discuss your interests. And this is a great way if you're not quite sure what you'd like to major in, or what you want to do with your major, or how to identify opportunities to test things out. You can schedule an appointment with someone through Handshake. The Melior Collective is the university's online community for professional growth and exploration. It connects you to the whole University of Rochester community, and that meaning alumni, faculty, students, and staff, where you can identify mentors, get information, network with the whole University of Rochester community. And I think Christine is going to put into the chat some of these links. So if you want to access them later, you are more than welcome to do so. And you can actually go into the Melior Collective and identify alumni who may have majored in the same major that you're considering or that you're declaring. And at the Green Center, we can kind of help you through how do you reach out to them and what are some of those conversations you may want to have to help build that network and connections. The authorized approval list is also available. I think as Professor Herman alluded to at the beginning, you can also Google who are the best contacts or advisors for each department. But there also exists this list where you can identify who might be a good point of contact, either faculty or staff members in your department to start building relationships with. And as he said as well, it's great if you want to do that before you declare your major, as well as during the process and then after you've declared your major as well. So, what's next with all of this? I think, you've hopefully gotten a lot of good information today for how to declare your major. Maybe it's helped you to think about how you get connected to your department. But I think, that's what we hope that you take away is that there's a whole community of advising support and people here in the University of Rochester community to help you through all of this, whether you're exploring careers and major possibilities, or you're fairly sure what you want to do, but maybe you're not quite sure what you want to do with it. Get connected to the support available to you. So talk to your undergraduate advisor, talk to your academic department, faculty and peers, connect to us in the Green Center. And like I said, you can schedule an appointment through Handshake to do that. And then get connected to the sophomore committee, who Marcy and I and everyone else on the panel today are part of that committee. And we're really here to help you all as sophomores to decide, declare, and then explore, career and academic possibilities based on your major. So just know we are all here to help you through this process and you don't have to do it alone. And so I'm going to turn it back over to Marcy now.
Great. And we are just about ready actually to wrap up our presentation for this evening. We did want to share with you some fun photos from a recent event for the class of 2023, our casual conversations with President Mangelsdorf. And you'll see that we had both virtual and an in-person event. So we hope that next time we have an event focused specifically on members of the class of 2023, that you'll be able to join us. And that's really it tonight. Before we wrap up, I'll check back with Christine to see if there are any additional questions. I did notice that one student had asked whether or not we'll have a recording of this webinar posted, and we will do that after we've completed the second webinar, which is scheduled for Friday afternoon. We'll send a notice out to the sophomore class, letting everybody know where to find that, the recorded webinar. Any final questions from any students or anything that the panelists would like to share before we finish for this evening?
There are no questions right now.
Okay, great. Well, we'll leave you with our email addresses. Please let us know if we can be helpful. And thank you so much for attending. We really appreciate it. We hope your spring semester is going well. And we hope we'll have an opportunity to connect with you again sometime soon. Thank you very much.